So psychotechnology is anything, substance, practice, protocol. Oh God.
Psychotechnology is an internalized tool into the psyche.
Designed to alter, ideally improve cognition in some way.
Psychotechnology is a tool that has been integrated into the psyche that allows one to then use that tool on the psyche itself.
Psychotechnologies are invented and then explained or taught and passed on.
Psychotechnologies are learnt from playing with a toy, which then becomes a tool, which then becomes integrated into the mind and then serves as a tool upon the mind.
Psychotechnologies can be anything at all. They can be serious practices, they can be silly games.
One of the fundamental psychotechnologies is reading. Learning how to unread.
Even more fundamental psychotechnology would be language, for example, as probably one of our base psychotechnologies is language.
A psychotechnology is a feedback loop between the body and the mind, using the body to modulate the mind and vice versa.
Psychotechnologies are also a feedback loop between the mind-body duality and the external reality.
Psychotechnologies allow for the manipulation, the gripping onto various aspects of one's psyche and turning them like bolts.
Psychotechnologies are the ability to self-examine one's own psyche.
What is the psychotechnological equivalent of a hammer, of a nail, of a spanner, of a computer? Psychotechnology is the use of a tool as a metaphor, which then becomes real inside of one's mind. It allows to metaphorically transform one's mind.
Psychotechnologies are temporary tools.
Psychotechnologies are tools that we can conjure inside of our mind to reorganize the structure of our own mind, to rebuild our mind, to retend, to recode our mind.
To what extent are psychotechnologies voluntary and involuntary? To what extent do we simply absorb them involuntarily?
Born into an ecosystem of psychotechnologies, but then becoming aware of one's psychotechnologies and becoming sovereign over them.
Born into an ecosystem of psychotechnologies, that's very good. And so those psychotechnologies become accepted wisdom, almost akin to reality itself.
The psychotechnologies that we use shape our psyche, and our shaped psyches let in specific dimensions.
So psychotechnologies are inextricably linked from our experience of reality, and the ability to tweak them is thus to enter into other realities.
Psychotechnologies are the tools to shape the temple of our psyche.
Psychotechnologies give us broader access to the infinite potentials of perception and awareness.
Psychotechnologies are the tools that we use to tend to the potential of within.
The body is inextricably linked from our being, and so psychotechnologies must also include things which prime the body.
Fundamental psychotechnology is the breath.
Yes, that's the beginning. That's the first of all of them.
From the first psychotechnology of the breath is born the second psychotechnology, the dance.
movement, responding to the, so to what extent is sensual perception a psychotechnology? Because it's not reality, is it?
Modulating one's sensory perception is psychotechnological.
And modulating one's sensory perception is something that we learn from the moment we emerge from the womb, possibly even before that. And so we engage
Psychotechnology is the use of the psyche as a tool.
To employ the term psychotechnology implies a certain conscious awareness of that tool, though. And so, yeah, one can go very deep.
Psychotechnology is tool awareness applied to the psyche.
Tool awareness, so knowing that I'm holding the hammer rather than just wielding the hammer, sort of thing. That's a crude analogy, but something like that.
Psychotechnology is recognizing that one can use one's psyche to transform the psyche of oneself and the world.
Using one's psyche to transform not reality, but one's experience of reality, which is tantamount to exactly the same thing, right?
We use our psychotechnologies to carve our reality tunnels.
Our psychotechnologies are the architecture with which we make order and meaning out of the world for ourselves.
With our psychotechnologies, we can draw blueprints of our psyche.
Psychotechnologies are in a constant state of development as they feed back into the psyche and develop that.
Psychotechnology is the psyche as a self-improving tool.
Psychotechnologies are embedded deep within our, not DNA, but deep within our being.
Psychotechnology is the use of a tool within ourselves, deep inside our psyche.
Is there a psychotechnology with which to evaluate the effectiveness of psychotechnologies?
Psychotechnologies of measurement, psychotechnologies of circumscription, psychotechnologies of building.
Given that psychotechnologies are informing and developing our psyches, our ability to measure the effectiveness of the psychotechnology is rooted in the psyche, which is
using psychotechnologies to measure the shape of the psyche and the effectiveness of the tools within.
To what extent can psychotechnologies be treated as objective phenomena, given that they exist within the subjective realm of the individual psyche?
Psychotechnologies as intersubjectively tested technologies to shape consciousness in specific ways.
Intersubjectively tested as opposed to object, yes. So if there is agreement as to their effectiveness, then that, yes.
A research project to study the objective correlates of specific psychotechnologies.
Designing metrics that can effectively convey the effectiveness of a given psychotechnology.
Designing quantitative and qualitative metrics for the measurement of the effectiveness of psychotechnologies.
Metrics which do not transmute the value of the psychotechnology into something mundane and profane.
The sacred quality of psychotechnologies and the ethics of psychotechnologies.